Hey y'all. What up? Happy Sunday.
Yeah, happy Sunday.
It's our God. Let's go. Let's go. Say yo. Say yo. Say yo. Come on, lift it up all over the room. Say yo. Say yo. Say yo. Let's go. So how great is our God?
Good afternoon, Life Changing Center. Good afternoon, everyone that's out there. I hope you guys are doing well. Before we get started, I want to make sure you guys are liking and sharing. So make sure you're liking and you're sharing this post to make sure we get this word all the way out. We're having our Drive to the Polls event, and I can't wait to get started. I have some good friends in the background that are waiting to get on and talking with you guys. So again, let's make sure that we're liking, make sure we're sharing. Whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, just make sure you get the word out and just tell somebody to come on in the building, come on in the house as we go ahead and get started. All right. So I'm going to bring up these wonderful people, and then we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it and get started. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Hey, good.
How are y'all?
Thanks for having us.
I am so happy that you guys have sacrificed your Sundays, your Sunday afternoon to be with us. I don't know if you guys have eaten yet already or not. I haven't had Sunday dinner yet, so I can't wait to get back and eat some chicken and all that good stuff. So I want to make sure we go ahead and get started again. As a reminder, please make sure that you're liking and you're sharing and you're spreading this word so that we can get this out. All right, so I'm going to, the first person I'm going to introduce is going to be Brandon, since he's actually ladies first. So Mayor LaDonna Hall, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself and go ahead and just tell the people who you are and what you do.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As Jonathan has stated, I am Mayor LaDonna Hall of the town of Sally. I am from Sally, born and raised. I went to Winthrop for a while or went to Winthrop, stayed up in that way for a while and came back in about, I guess it was 7 or 8 years later, decided to run for mayor. And here I am almost a year in, and we've made many, many changes and look forward to making many, many more. And of course, it takes a team working together to get that done. So in my normal life, I am a wife, mom of 2 girls, and I work as an accountant for a nonprofit in Aiken, South Carolina.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor LaDonna. Brandon, I'm gonna allow you to go next.
Hey, brother, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I just love keeping up with everything you're doing, both in the ministry and as a father. And I understand why you asked if me and the mayor knew each other, because I was born and raised in Aiken, South Carolina. Went to the College of Charleston and did 11 years in the United States Army. And since 2011, 2010, honestly, I've been working in politics and policy to get good people elected, to change policies. Me and my firm, we were successful at amending the North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida state constitutions. And now we started a nonprofit called Amplify Action to rebuild power in our communities through the mobilization and education of Black men. So happy to be here. You know, election day is a couple days away, and we're working hard. That's part of why I'm outside, because we've been out dragging people to the polls all day. We're here in Atlanta today.
Well, we need to connect, Brandon.
Definitely.
I'm already making connections now. I love it.
We get some of this action going down in Sally.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, yeah. Arnold, you are next. Tell us who you are. Tell us about yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so honored to be here with my brother and my 2 friends that I've just been connected to today. Everybody, my name is Arnold Ford. I'm actually Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but I have some family ties down in South Carolina, in about South Carolina, over 30 years. Um, I am actually a school administrator, a principal in West Philadelphia, and we have some wonderful things happening along with our school community, some wonderful incentives for our students to get their parents out voting and their aunties and their cousins out voting. So this is right up my alley, just to make sure that we are engaging in our civic responsibilities. So I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for joining in on this conversation as we begin just to ramp up and get things going. I know everyone is doing their own thing individually, but I'm so happy that we can join forces at some time just to get together and add on top of what each other are doing. So I'm so excited about where this conversation is going. So I am going to pose the first question. The first question is, how do you feel about the election right now? I can tell you about myself. I know that there's a lot that's going on. I feel like, we are making some strides in terms of just getting people out to vote. But I want to hear from you guys. Brendan, I'll start with you first. How are you feeling about this upcoming election that we're currently in right now?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. In 2016, I was working in the state of North Carolina to turn out the vote for Hillary Clinton. And, the day after Election Day, when my entire team was depressed and upset, thought the sky was falling, right? I went to Walmart and saw a stack of newspapers, and the cover said, "America got trumped." And at that moment, I had the choice to be depressed or to spring into action. And I saw that as an amazing opportunity for us to act. And so did another third of our country. Since Trump got elected, more people have been civically engaged than at any other time in our history. And dare I say, even since the civil rights movement. Look at what our young people, our Gen Zers and millennials are doing to impact and change their own communities. So because of that, I'm feeling extremely hopeful. Now, when it comes to this election, right now we're employing 425 young people on the ground, my organization. They're going around door to door, making sure that folks get out and vote, right? They're doing it safely. Everybody got their mask and everything. But one of my kids yesterday, he said, I asked him to make a video as to why people should vote. And he said in his video, you can see it on my Facebook page, he said, "Y'all, Donald Trump about to give us these stimulus checks." Now, now Joe Biden, I don't know what he's about, but go vote for Trump. And I said, "Boy, don't you know what we're doing?" But it put into perspective for me of what is really resonated with our young Black men, right? You have to invest in them to educate them. And we all have to do our part to grab and teach every last one that we possibly can, right? I always say what you water will grow. And if we water it and nurture it, it will grow. And that Trump campaign has really been invested in coming after Black men. So, it's not won for the Biden campaign, but it's not over.
Right. Gotcha. Arnold, tell me how you feeling.
To be quite honest, I'm fighting against feeling fatigued with the election right now. And my fatigue isn't around, there's a lot of voter campaigns and ads that are going around, obviously, just like there are every election season. But I'm just fatigued around the narratives that are around this election. The narrative of fear on one side, pushing that, the narrative of weakness on the other side. It's just so much disinformation. And from my perspective, my job and my calling a lot of times centered around young people. So when I hear what their perspective is and where it comes from, it really pushes me to make sure we're educating young folks, even before they are of age to vote and engage in that way civically, because the tendency is for folks to just pick a side based on misinformation and disinformation. And when they do that, it becomes dangerous on either side. it just becomes
Right.
really, and we need to be able to hold our elected officials accountable. But in order to do that, we have to be informed about what the issues are, what our power is as a voter. There's so much power as a voter that sometimes we don't tap into. And I say that we don't tap into it because we put so much focus on every 4 years, when that's not the only time that folks should be voting anyway. So I'm fighting against feeling fatigued, but I know we have such a long way to go. And I also know that no matter the outcome of this election, I know what I want to happen, but no matter the outcome of this election, we still have so much work to do in terms of being civically engaged after that.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you, man, that's been one of the biggest things, you know, that's been resonating for me is no matter what the outcome is, we still have tons of work to do. You know, just because, you know, you elected the person that you want in office, there's still an obligation for them to uphold the things that they're saying they're going to do. And even some of the things that they have outlined, do we really agree with them? And should we be pushing them to change some of those so that they fit, you know, for everyone? So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's not, I said this to my students, there is not one person in the world where I agree with every single thing they say. Not
Absolutely.
Right.
the closest, not even the closest people to me, we have disagreements. So it's just about really the work that, yes, the work prior to the election, have to get out to the polls. But even after that, that's where the real work begins to start holding.
Absolutely.
And you know, my organization, we do voter registration, and we do voter registration. We plan on doing it every day, year round, right? Not just for this election or the next election, but just constantly as a practice, because voting is a habit. What you don't realize, like, I remember my first voting experience was when I was in the first grade, and they did a mock election at my elementary school between Bush and Clinton. And I was so excited. For some reason, as a young kid, I was shooting for or wishing that Clinton would win. That was my first time ever hearing about him. But I was trying to get all my friends to vote for him at lunch. And when he won, I went home and told my mom that this guy won. But ever since then, it's been in my head. And, you know, it started as a seed then, and now it's blossomed to the work that I do now. And I just laugh when I think back on it. But that's what we have to do. We have to make it a habit for our children, even when they're young and far away from even being able to vote, because it has to be an expectation.
That's right. I agree.
Absolutely. Mayor Hall, if you can just tell us, yeah, you're back. If you can, no worries. If you can just tell us how you're feeling overall about this election currently right now. That's what everyone has been answering.
If I think I heard you all right, I guess like Brandon was just saying, it's mixed feelings because you just don't know what the next one will bring. You don't know if the one staying in the office will make anything any worse than what it is or any better, if that's possible, than what it is. So it's just mixed feelings. My focus has more so been on the local elections because those are ones that matter the most. Those are ones that are going to affect us the most. So I've been more so campaigning for, you know, our local senators, House of Representatives, our school board representatives, and those in that area are the ones that are in Congress for our area that will benefit us the most, because that's on a higher level. We most likely won't even be benefited a lot of times, or won't benefit from a lot of the things that they're doing as much as it would for our local elections.
Absolutely. And, you know, that kind of like brings me to my next question, because, you know, as I think about this election, I think about everything that's at stake in this election. There's also something else that I've noticed, you know, just from my time of voting, right, is we go to these elections and the hype thing is typically like the main event. It's the presidency. But there's so many other things that's on the ballot. So, you know, I went ahead and early voted, of course, this week. And when I pulled up my ballot, I mean, I still have my sample ballot here. So I encourage you, if you still have yet to vote, definitely go out there and print out your sample ballot. That way you can see what's there. And I mean, you can take this ballot in, so you don't have to memorize what you're going to vote for. I think, you know, sometimes we feel like, you know, this voting is so feels like an exam or standardized test, and like we can't take anything in there with us. I walked in with my ballot all highlighted and everything, and I walked in and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm ready. because I had to do my research ahead of time. Because again, the presidency here in Duval County in Florida, that was only one of 20 items that were on there to vote for. So, and some of the things that are on here, I mean, one of the biggest things on here that I noticed was about the minimum wage increase. You know, and people are saying, "Hey, I'm not going to go vote because I want to vote for. I don't like who my options are." But there are other things that you need to vote for. So you have to think about those things. So, so Arnold, you're next. Tell me, you know, again, the presidency is of course on that ballot, but there are many things as well that's on there, right?
Absolutely, and that speaks to education piece that I was talking about, and that's why that fatigue is starting to step in with me, because when I hear folks say things like that, like, well, you know, I don't believe in either candidate, it's like you can just hear how uninformed folks are when they're speaking, because to your point, there are so many things that we are voting for. There's so much power in policy. And I think people don't really fully understand the power that the people have in creating and changing policy. It's not just about a personality. If this was just about a personality, then that would be one thing, but it's so much more beyond a personality. And again, that clannish mindset, you know, I love that you have that idea. Let me print this out prior, and let me actually look and see where I'm going to throw my support, instead of just blindly throwing it to where someone told me to put it, right? We have to be really informed, and that's how real change takes place. I think that if every single person in America took the time to really be informed about what they're voting for, we really would see significant change, because our vote and our voice matters.
Absolutely. I mean, we all have to do our part, and education is a huge piece of that. Brandon, what do you say, man?
Man, I love that you took the time to print out that ballot, because just like the mayor said, these local races are the most important races. You know, her city council can go and create an ordinance today that will impact us tomorrow. It doesn't have to go through Congress. It doesn't have to be approved and ratified by the executive and the Senate. You know, it doesn't have to go through the Supreme Court to uphold. Like, they approve it tonight, and it is in place tomorrow. You know, and there's no way. There's folks always saying that, oh, I'm not into politics, I'm not involved in politics. Like, you don't have a choice in this world, because politics is into you. From the moment you go into your house and turn on those lights, politics is what allowed those lights to come on, right? That food that you're eating, politics determines the quality of that food that you're eating. And even the money in your pocket is determined by the politics of your area. So you're talking about a minimum wage. Even if you don't like the candidates, you should like yourself in your own home, tabletop economics. Because if you can get a pay raise, that will help you and your family be able to live a more prosperous life. So we can't get away from politics. It is surrounding us. So we got to vote in every election, every single time, not just the president, but even the local ones, because they're the ones that impact us the most.
Absolutely. I like what you said. You know, you may need to go out there and vote for your pay raise. You know, we always fighting, you know, on our job and trying to say, hey, what can we do to get that raise? You know, which supervisor do I have to kiss up to? You know, what manager, whatever. Sometimes just go into the polls. Yeah. You know, that way, you know, it doesn't matter what they say on your job. If you go to the polls and you vote for this, and now we can get this passed, they have a bar that's set for them already. Yep. So yeah, absolutely. Maybe, go ahead.
I love what he said. You know, it's all right. You might not be into politics, but politics is definitely into you. I'm still like
absolutely. Absolutely. Mayor Hall. So we were just talking about, you know, the presidency, and of course on the ballot, there's so many different things. Like, you know, you can attest to this, you know, that because you're right there, you're the mayor of Sally. You know, how is important of one, these midterm elections, as well as these other things that are on the ballot?
Oh, the importance is of the utmost because, like Brandon was just saying, we can go make an ordinance tonight and it go into effect tomorrow. And unfortunately, a lot of times the community isn't even aware of that ordinance that we just put in place until it's properly communicated. But if they do anything against that ordinance, they can get fined like that for no reason, without knowledge. That ordinance was in place. Of course, I would hope most people know that I wouldn't allow something like that to go on, but there are those that are out there that would allow that to go on. And you find someone, we had people find during the Chitlin Strut because they weren't aware that they couldn't cook when they come, but they've been cooking for years when they come. It just had not been enforced as much. And so that was something I had to face 2 weeks after being in office. Wow. And it was something new to me, but it was a learning process. And we had to put some things in place to assure that this doesn't happen again, because you shouldn't be able to do that, in my opinion. But of course, that's why we vote for those that are in these local offices, to prevent such from happening and to make sure that the people that are in these offices are actually there for your benefit as opposed for just their benefit, that they're working for you and not, for the entire community, not just for a portion of the community or not just for a few people in the community.
Yeah.
And Madam Mayor, can I just say, I love the Chitlin Strut.
Listen.
Yeah, we were so upset that we had to cancel it. COVID is just being such a beast this year that it's canceled that for us, and we just absolutely hate that. But 2021 is coming back, it's coming strong, and we're gonna have some extra masks or something, but we're gonna have Chitlin Strut next year.
Chitlin Strut is the staple down here.
Y'all come on down.
Stuff. Now I'm from Philly. I don't know about no Chitlin Strut. Y'all real country.
Yeah, we got the city boy on here. Now I don't eat chitlins, but but it's the event. It's the event. Hey, we have to arrange that, Arnold. We have to get you down here for the Chitlin Strut.
I got you.
It's an awesome event. Our population goes from 500 to almost 30,000 people that day. It is major. It's something that we all look forward to. And our poor little people, they're walking around town and they're like, Mayor, are you sure we can't go back to the council and make sure that we have this? I'm like, you guys, it takes months to plan this. So even if we did go back right now, we have a few weeks. So absolutely not at this point. But again, maybe we can do something in the spring. It's kind of like something to preface the Chitlin Strut 2021 coming, just to give them a little something in between now and then. But, just for the sake of our people, we had to be responsible and cancel it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, we're excited. We can't wait to get in. It's going to be a family affair at that point.
There you go. I'll save some extra plates for y'all.
I know, right? Mayor Hall, while we're still talking with you, I have a question for you. What are you hearing and seeing in your community specifically in regards to voting? I was watching your page and I saw that you were doing some test runs of the machines. So I thought that was awesome that you actually were allowing people to come in and just get a feel for it. I mean, standardized tests, you have to come in there, they give you a PSAT and everything else. So I thought that was a wonderful idea, but I haven't seen that before. But what are you saying?
Well, I won't take credit for that. I will say that I was actually contacted by the Election Commission, and they had some extra things going on and wanted to know if our community would be interested in. And absolutely, anything that will benefit our community in any way, shape, or form, I am on it. I will make sure that I do whatever it takes to get those people out. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was one of your fraternity brothers that actually volunteered for that. And he came down, just him alone. He had been doing this a couple times throughout Aiken County. He came and he showed individuals that showed up how to use the new machine, because a lot of people didn't vote in June, so they weren't aware of how the new machine works. Our sorority, we did a little training. We had someone come in and show us how to do it during a chapter meeting one time. So we were ready in June, but there's still a lot of people that weren't ready in June and still aren't ready in November. And, so we allowed that to happen in our community. We didn't have a lot come out, but hey, you got to bring the horse to the water. You can't make him drink,
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think that's a big component of it, just allowing people to have different opportunities and different pathways, right? So you may not have everyone in your city or everyone in your town to come to your event, but if enough people do their own events, if enough people are taking the time out of their busy schedules to do something, they're going to hear the word at some point that, hey, look, this is how I vote. This is how the machine works. And I'm like, when you said other people were doing that, that's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not just you. It has to be a joint effort where everyone is doing something. Arnold, I know you're in Pennsylvania, you're in Philly, and we just heard of everything that was just recently happening in the community. So with everything that's happening, just with police brutality nowadays, like what's happening? What are you hearing in your community about, like, voting and some of these things that are happening?
Yeah, y'all president said bad things happen in Philadelphia. And we were so offended by that. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's there's so much that's going on, not just in Philly, but in most major cities around the country, but particularly in Philly. This past week, unfortunately, we had another case of police brutality, and a young Black man was shot, several times. And it's sad, and there have been protests and unrest and all types of things that are going on, such that a lot of polling locations, even I was driving around earlier today, and they have the National Guard here at different polling locations, just making sure that folks aren't prohibited and have a safe pathway to go vote. And it's like, just the visual of that, if I can be quite honest, it's really sad just to see that this is what it's come to, just so folks can safely go and vote. That, on top of the fact that, we have so many restrictions due to, COVID, like everywhere, right? But, the silver lining is, from what I've been hearing in my community and the communities that I serve, folks are really just determined. They're not going to be deterred from voting and making sure that their voice counts. Folks really are excited to make sure. That's a lot of first-time voters, and I'm not just talking about young people. We've been seeing in our school community, we have incentivized getting some folks registered to vote and giving out surprising things. I've seen folks that are in their 30s and even 40s who are first-time voters and getting them registered. So that's been exciting to see. And they have been because there's such a mistrust a lot of times in the Black community of government, period. Like, we just don't trust police. We don't trust politicians. They lie. So why am I going to engage? And I say, because they lie. You know what I'm saying? We got to hold folks accountable. And we have, they work for us. We have the power. We put them there, and we have to understand that we can hold them accountable. So seeing some of those first-time voters and the determination of the Philadelphia community to get out and vote, I believe Philly's going to show out. So we'll see.
That's good. That's good. I mean, it's sad that that's the case. That sometimes it's almost civil unrest burst something else out of it. I feel like if, and this is just me just taking my own insight and my own honest opinion. And again, this is my opinion. I believe if Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, if all those things didn't happen this year, I'm curious of whether or not we would have had the traction that we do currently right now with voting. I mean, since that all happened, we saw NBA players and everyone else just fight for Black Lives Matter and putting, hey, let's make sure that we show up to vote. It's been amplified, just to take you for an instant, Brandon, it's been amplified, that the voice has been amplified to say, hey, we have this thing. And again, it's unfortunate that it's happening on the lives of Black people. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what it is. What do you think? I know I said amplified, Brandon, but what do you think?
No, I completely agree. And I'm at the Martin Luther King Center here in Atlanta right now. You can see it in my background. But Dr. King said protest and civic disobedience is the language of the oppressed, right? And what we've been telling our young folks and old folks who are registered for the first time, we registered 30,000 Black voters since June. And we're telling them when we protested this spring and summer, things changed. And you can see those things that change. They're tangible changes. But now our vote has to be our protest, right? That is our protest of the folks who say, I'm elected official, but I don't believe Black Lives Matter, right? I'm the sheriff, but you don't have the right to use your voice in your First Amendment, right? It's the same thing that allows these dog whistles and bullhorns to be said on a debate stage that give crazy people the authority that so they believe to show up at your polling location with their guns strapped around their chest or on their hip, right? So the only way we can change this and create the reality that we want to see is by us voting by any means necessary, and nothing can turn us around, So I think we're going to do it, man.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason, just like Trump. Sorry, y'all. But just like Trump created a new generation of civically involved and engaged people, I think the sacrifice of our dear brothers and sisters at the hands of law enforcement has birthed a new generation of change makers across this country and new voters. So I'm excited to see what this is going to look like on Tuesday.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm kind of like ready. I feel like, I'm kind of upset that, COVID is here now because we can't have the traditional voting watch parties as we used to have in big droves. That was, I used to, you kind of like, you don't miss it until it's gone. Now you wish you could show up at somebody's house and, you have meatballs and wings and everything else and treat it like the Super Bowl. But now you can't really do it. Now you got the social distance. So I feel like we have to have a virtual rally or something. Just to showcase it. But talk about like the Super Bowl and other things like that, entertainment. We are seeing a lot of entertainers, a lot of celebrities that are getting involved. And in our Black community, especially some of the folks that the Black community is starting to have looked up to for years, we're starting to see them go different paths. I feel like they're doing this because they're looking out for themselves, but I saw, some things that went on through social media with 50 Cent and then Lil Wayne, let me say it correctly, Lil Wayne. So we see all these things. So should the people be really listening to celebrities and entertainers for advice on who to vote for? Like I want to pose that first question to you, Mayor Hall.
I was about to say, I saw her eye roll just now.
I know.
Hey, I was feeling it on the inside, Madam Mayor.
I saw it too.
I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna even mute my mic. I feel like I need to mute my mic. I need to hear all this.
Celebrities, entertainers. Look, these guys are just another person just like we are. They're just individuals like we are that has the right to express their opinions. They may or may not even be affected the way that we would be affected here as smaller individuals, if you will. They can even get paid to go out and endorse these people. And I can put a sign in my yard and the person would never care until, after they win and, they just know that they've been endorsed by the mayor. But these celebrities and things, they are very influential. But what people have to realize is it doesn't affect them as much as it affects us. I was watching something earlier, how billionaires, millionaires, they're not taxed the way that we are. They get more tax breaks than we do. And we're here struggling, trying to get something paid from one paycheck to the next. So if we just focus on, again, these local elections and stop following up what whomever has decided to do, then we can get a lot further in life. Is just how I feel about that. I actually wrote out something a little longer than that, but we'll keep it simple. Keep it simple. But it really does just drive me crazy in a way, because so and so, especially our younger kids, they may be a huge fan of Lil Wayne, and they see him voting for Trump. They don't realize what Lil Wayne stand for. They don't realize what Trump stand for, what Biden stand for, what our local people that are running in these elections are standing for. They just know that their favorite rapper is endorsing this man. And look, that's a strategy. These people do this on purpose. So that's why we have to, I'm sorry, Vinzana, for the eye roll. I didn't mean to do that. But that sometimes it's difficult to hold things in, because it just makes a big difference in our lives as a whole. And if the power is in our vote, and I may come as one, but I come representing 10,000, our 10,000 or more ancestors that we stand on the shoulders of. We're their wildest dreams. We have to do what they couldn't do. So there's power in our vote, and we have the right to do that. So why not do it? But when you do it, make sure that you research and you understand who you're voting for, what you're voting for, and how it's going to affect you in the long run.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Arnold, I'm going to transition to you, because, you work in the school system. So about the influences that, these kids are having, and not just the kids, but the parents are having. You talk on it.
Yeah, I agree with everything that the mayor said. The silver lining is this: as powerful of a voice and influential of a voice as Lil Wayne or 50 is, their vote counts just as much as mine, and mine counts just as much as theirs, right? That's the power. But the thing is, there's this thing that we got to unpack about how on both sides, if I'm going to be fair, on both sides, Black celebrities are pimped in order to get votes, influence other people without them being informed. I'm not interested in, even if someone is endorsing the one that I'm going to endorse, I'm not interested in simply getting, pimping somebody out to get a vote without informing them and arming them with the knowledge to really what it means to be civically engaged. And that's what I see happening with the 50 Cents of the world, with the, the Lil Waynes, or even with the Cardis. A lot of times it's just like, I'm gonna just put this person out, I'm gonna get a photo op, and I know that with this picture, with this person comes a lot of power, because they have a reach and they have a following. I think that's sad. I think that's a sad commentary. I'm always going to advocate for celebrities using their voice to tell people to go out and vote, even if it's not, on the side that I would necessarily choose. Hey, like the mayor said, everyone has a right to their opinion. I just really have a problem with seeing influential Black folks being pimped out in order to play the short game and not the long game. The long game is we got to allow people to really be civically engaged. The short game is, vote in November and then never think about it again. That's almost just as dangerous. So
right. Brandon, I'm gonna let you touch on it a little bit. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we hear you.
Sorry about that. So I just got two things on this. The first one, my granddad used to tell me all the time, don't follow them fools. And you got to be able to discern when somebody is foolish. So you're not following and jumping off a cliff, following behind somebody. The other thing is, as a nonprofit organization that seeks to focus and engage Black men, there was a time when we were reaching out to celebrities as a nonprofit saying, hey, we're looking to do this quick 15-second plug to tell Black men to register to vote. And we went to a number of celebrities because we know that, some people respond. Let's just be real. People respond to celebrities, right? And for 15 seconds, people were wanted to charge us $5,000 and $10,000 to ask someone to register to vote. And then you turn around and see these same people doing things that don't make no sense in any world, right? Especially when we start talking about the demographic that we're trying to reach. So I don't put that changed my mind when it came to engaging certain celebrities, because at some point we have to put our community above a dollar. We gotta, put the hope and prosperity of the next generation above the prosperity of myself. And many of the ones that you mentioned that were posing with President Trump were really just thinking about themselves. I heard one of them say, well, Joe Biden's going to tax me 50%. But what they're not saying is what's not going to happen, and none of these politicians are going to do it, is change the tax loopholes that allow them to write off 47, even 43% of that 50% that they would have been taxed in the first place. So while the rest of us are being taxed like poor people, it's expensive to be poor in America, they're getting off with 7% and even less in their taxes, and not to mention what they're hiding in their assets and overcoming capital gains. So I don't want to get too deep into it, but at the end of the day, it's just two things: don't follow them fools, and then number two, think for yourself and don't follow anyone else who might be a celebrity or influential, because they might be getting paid to do it in the first place, and they get a script. I've been there.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting to see how these things are working out in the background. I know, both you, Brandon, and Mayor Hall have some insight just on the back end of how these things are happening and what's being paid, and like the transaction and what the request is on the dollar amount. And then even after that, they're still trying to look out for their best interest to make sure that they have these tax write-offs and make sure that they have these loopholes that still stay intact, and hopefully no one can mess with them. So it's amazing to see how all this is happening. And and then these are the same ones that are making money off of us. It's not that they're making money from them. It's us that's buying their music. It's us that's buying their tickets for $300 to go see them perform for an hour, and to sit in the bleachers and the nosebleeds. It's us that's doing that. It's us that's helping them get to where they are and helping them establish this criteria of them being above everyone else. So it goes back to what you said, Arnold. They're being pimped out, and then it's almost in a sense they're being pimped out and using what we helped to create them to be. It's sad. It's sad on so many different levels. And especially when you don't. I saw someone say this about one of the individuals, and I won't say who. Y'all probably will get who it is, but they said this individual didn't take time for 30 years to read his contract in the music business, but yet he read this 2-page platinum plan, and now he's all good to go. It's, come on, like you're taking the word for someone who. So it's important that you do your own, pull up your ballot. This is the most important thing. Pull up your ballot, print it out, and you can get a sample ballot. Look at it. I mean, I looked at ours. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I had 7 judges that were trying to retain their seats. 7 on this ballot. And all I had to do was just print this out so I can look them up. And I needed to look them up before I went to the ballot, and not just go there and be like, I like how their name sounds, so let me just circle that one in. Oh, this one actually sounds like I went to school with this person, circle their name in. But you have no idea what they stand for, who endorses them, what laws did they pass, what were they against, how did they vote themselves. Doing our research, we have to do that. So I want to pose this question because I know time is far spent. It's been interesting to see. We're already over 40 minutes in. So I want to pose this question. Go ahead.
That next question, I just want to make a point how the two go together for our people running in these elections, as well as those celebrities. We pay them. We pay their salaries. We pay for them to have these contracts, and we buy their music. There's power in our voice and our vote. And once we learn how much power we have, that's when they're going to see the difference. But again, they keep trying to make sure that we don't know that. That's why it's up to us, y'all, to make sure that our communities, our friends, our families are aware of what's going on at all times and how influential that we are, just as much as they are, and that we can make a difference in what happens the next day, what happens with these different people that are being elected in these seats, with these celebrities. If we don't go out and buy their music, what's going to happen? Yep. If we don't continue to shop at whatever store or buy from this site or whatever the case may going to be, what's going to happen? They're going to have to listen to us. And we're the ones, our money leaves our community. But then what was it? Eight minutes or some ridiculous turnaround like that. We've got to get back to what we knew, what we were doing in the beginning. But it all takes education. It's all going to take education. I just wanted to put that in right quick.
No,
I'm noticing the correlation between the two.
Absolutely. And I think you hit on something. It's, we're paying them. And if you start thinking about it, it's not even just buying their music now. It's also streaming their music. Every time you stream it, you're giving them an opportunity to be paid. So if you're streaming
and following them on social media.
Follow them on social media. They get paid based off of how many likes do you have? How many followers do you have? Okay, cool. Well, this is the number that we're going to pay you based off of that. Yeah, you might say, well, it's only me. It's only that one person. Yeah, we're saying it also about going out and go vote. Use the power that you have. It's only you, but you have power in that.
That's a good point, Jay. That's a good point, brother.
You know what I mean?
You need to patent that point.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that, I'm starting to see in our communities. And again, it's starting out at an early age. It's starting at an early age that we begin to get these influences. And one of the things that we have to do, myself as a parent, I have to make sure that my kids are following the right individuals. And I also have to be able to see who they are following. I may not agree with, the show. I may not like the show, but I need to know who it is on the show, because they're going to have influence over my kids' lives. I mean, my son always comes in, my daughter too, and they just talk about these shows, these random shows, and have no clue who they're talking about, who they are. But then, in 10 years, they're going to be those, the Lil Wayne, or they're going to be the 50 Cent, or they're going to be the LeBron James, or whoever. They're going to be a center of influence, and we have to make sure that we're doing that now and educating ourselves to make sure that we're helping to steer them. Being a parent is totally, that's a challenge in itself. It's a challenge in itself. Before we go, I wanna just hit on this real quick, and I just want to get everyone's feedback on this and just tell the people, what can we do to get to the polls, and what can we do to get somebody else? I've been telling people, if you know someone, if you're close by, make sure that you take somebody with you. Get your mask, get your hand sanitizer, do what you got to do. Take someone to the polls with you. Check on somebody. Send them a text. Have you voted? Did you early vote? If not, make sure you're there first thing on Tuesday to get out there and vote. What can we do? And I'm gonna start with you, Brandon. What can we do to help get these people out here to vote?
Yeah, and if I can just say, I know you were talking about our children. I got 3 little ones myself. My youngest one, Patrick, he just turned 4. But right before his birthday, we were driving and heard Donald Trump on the radio. And once he went off, my son said, "Daddy, there's a danger in the White House."
Wow.
Where you got that from?
Wow.
He's like,
at 4?
"Daddy, we got," he was 3 at the time. He said, "Daddy, we got to get that danger out the White House."
Wow.
So
Wow.
the children are listening. Yeah, these children are listening. They soak everything up. And, we got to be just like our children and really take everything in and digest it, because it is critical that we think for ourselves, because there's so much happening. So when it comes to mobilizing each other to go vote, there are still people who need to be convinced that they have to go vote. And we all know who they are. And it's up to us, because we are the people closest to them, to convince them to go out and do it. And say, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for me. And if you don't do it for me, do it for our children, right? For the kids, for your family. We have to impress upon every single person that we know to get out and vote. Now, what my organization has done, we turned our website, empirevote.com, into a utility site. If you go on there, you can request a ride to the polls. In South Carolina, no matter where you are, you can use our website and request a ride to the polls. We have a lot of partners in all the rural areas of South Carolina, but also nationally. Because of our partnership with Uber and Lyft, you can go on our site and request a ride to the poll, and you'll get a code to put into the Lyft or the Uber app, and it'll give you, in some places, a completely free two-way trip to the polls and back home, or at least a discounted trip to the polls and back home so that you can vote. There's no excuses, y'all. We got to take all the excuses off the table and make sure that we're doing everything we can to get every single person that's living and breathing right now to get up and vote. And if you got somebody who's in the bed and incapacitated for whatever reason, call for their absentee ballot, because we need every single vote that we can possibly get. But again, my website is AmpOurVote, AmpOurVote.com. And you can request a ride to the polls right on the site, and we'll get you there.
Awesome. And we're going to make sure that we put that up there too, Amp Our Vote, to make sure that, again, that's great. We want to make sure that everyone can get out there to vote, and that's going to be helpful. Arnold, go ahead and tell the people, what can we do, especially in your area? I know there's a lot of challenges. You were just hitting on it. National Guard is out there. It's like, what can we do? Let's. Yeah.
I think that, what Brandon is doing, I think is incredible work. And I commend him and the mayor for all the work that they have been doing. And as well as you, Jonathan. I think that one thing that we can't overlook, again, we talked about the power of these celebrity voices, man, but social media really is a powerful tool, and we got to make voting a vibe. We got to make it a vibe. We got to bring your kids, let them see us being excited about it. Put it out there, and the wonderful thing about our culture is we have a culture that catches on, right? And people will follow when they see something has traction and energy behind it. And we have to be sure that we're putting the right energy behind this effort, because there is a push to put the wrong energy, almost as if voting can somehow hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like even if you do not have complete confidence in whatever, how in the world could it hurt for you to let your voice be heard, right? So we got to make voting a vibe. Take pictures, you know what I'm saying, when you're on the way, make it an event, and just really make it about. We do that with everything else in our life that we care about. We have a party, we have company over, we're on our way to the mall, anything, and we make it a vibe, and then stuff catches on. These challenges catch on. Let's make voting a vibe, and I think that's just one small thing that we can do where potentially it may influence someone. You know what? Let me ride this wave while it's here. Let me go ahead. Let me get on this.
Absolutely. I love it. Mayor Hall.
Man, you guys have so many great quotes right here. I hope somebody's writing all these down. Make it a vibe. I like that. But you're right. The transfer of that energy from ourselves to our community to our kids, that's what's going to make the difference in the long run. That's what matters most. Overall. Fortunately, in our community, we have the voting precinct just right down the street from our town hall. So a lot of the people, they either walk or they can get a ride from a neighbor, or whatever the case may be, they can get there. And so, we're strongly encouraging people to make sure that they either go out last week when they could do the early voting. I made sure that everybody was aware where they could do the early voting, what time, what place. And, if anybody needed rides or what have you, I know a friend of my dad's, she took him. I don't need to vote. That's okay. She said, no, get in this car. You're going down here to vote. And he said, well, I'll give you $5 for taking me. She said, no, I don't need your money. And if you know anybody else that need to go, I'll take them too. So, we have those people, fortunately, in our area, but there's just still a lot of people that the concept just hasn't become important to them. And over the years, it's just gotten worse because of you got that feeling that you can't trust us politicians, and you feel like it doesn't benefit you. But again, that's a strategy, and we have to get back to knowing that there's power in our vote, right? And that what we do on each election actually makes that difference for the next one and the next one and the next one. So, I commend you all for everything that you're doing as well, because we definitely can't do it as one. That's what I tell people in our community. It's that, oh, we haven't seen things in years. We're so proud of you. It's not just me. And I'll never take credit for it being just me. There's a council of us working. And then there's individuals that come to me, Mayor Hall, can we do this? Can we do that? And I don't let that just go by. No, we can't do it. Well, let's go talk to the council. I'll talk to the council for you, and I'll see what we can get done. But we can get our people out. And from what I understand, I was on a call with a few mayors last week, is South Carolina has turned out, y'all. We have gone out, and we are probably more than 20. I think you said the last election, the election for Obama, not 2016, but the one before that there's more. There's about 10,000 more that have come out and turned out to vote since then. So the message is getting communicated. So don't feel like anything that you've done has fallen on deaf ears, anything that you've done that no one's appreciated and watching what you're doing, because it takes a team to make anything work. And I think that the more you guys do what you're doing, the more that I do what I'm doing, and the more that we just communicate our efforts, it's going to make a big difference, because it's not for us now. This is for our kids and our kids' kids.
That's right. Well, I want to tell you guys, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you so much. This has been excellent. This has been amazing. I want to just remind everyone, if you are in South Carolina, you're requesting a ride to the polls, you can go to ampourvote.com. I invite you to go to that site regardless. If you need an invite or not, make sure you're going out there to that site and make sure that you are requesting a free ride to the polls. In most areas, you'll be able to get that. If you're in Duval County or if you're in Jacksonville, Life Changing Center, we are driving some of our members to the polls as well to make sure they're getting out there to vote. So if you're in Duval County in Florida, let us know so we can get you to the polls. I think this is great. I want to tell you all, thank you for the job that you are doing in your communities. Thank you for the job that you're doing, not just in the communities, but you're doing across this nation. It means a whole lot. And I can't thank you enough for just taking out an hour of your day on this Sunday afternoon just to join in and talk to everyone here to help us get out to the polls and make sure that we're not just getting to the polls, but we're prepared when we get there. And then even after we get finished with this, there's still work to do. After November 3rd happens, and either we hang our head that day or that night and we have to cry, or we celebrate all night. That next day, we still have work to do. So just want to make sure that everyone is aware. Any closing words from anybody else?
I just wanted to reiterate what you said. That's what I was just thinking is, it doesn't stop on November 3rd. We have to, whomever are in those seats after that, we hold them accountable. They hold me accountable all day long. So we got to hold others accountable as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we got to vote like our lives depend on it. I don't know if you can see in the background, I'm just leaving the MLK Center here in Atlanta. And it just reminds me so deeply how much people sacrifice for us to be able to have this opportunity to vote. So we just got to, we can't take it for granted or allow people around us to take it for granted. So let's just get out here and do it, y'all.
And I agree. And I'll just say, finally, we didn't come this far just to come this far. We got so much more to do, and I'm just looking forward to more progress for whatever.
Awesome. All right, you guys have a wonderful evening. To everyone that is logged in, thank you so much for logging in and listening to us. I'll rant for a little while and help pump you out to get ready to vote. So I hope everyone has an amazing night, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon. All right.